Jim Montgomery and the Boston Bruins have made some big changes ahead of tonight's game against the Nashville Predators, and they seem to be making moves to make this team have a big turnaround after a very mediocre beginning of the season. We're going to be talking about all of these moves here, how they will affect this team here in this game, and what we may see going forward with this Boston Bruins team. Before we get into all of this news, though, be sure to hit the sub button. We know 70% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel, and we're almost at 6K. If we could hit that by the end of the month, that would be amazing. But before we get into any other news, we need to discuss these line changes. These are some big ones that we're looking at for tonight's game. Some moves have been made, and they will continue to be made by the Boston Bruins. Now, we're going to pull up the lines that we have seen here in the morning skate for tonight's game, and seemingly what we are about to see for tonight's game. Now, looking at what we've seen here, and I will pull this up on the bigger screen just for a few minutes while we talk about this, quite a few changes here while we're looking at this. First of all, obviously, the first one, very notable one. Brad Marchand has been moved up to the first line, paired up with Elias Lindholm and David Pastrnak. I think this is one that's been a long time coming, and many people were wondering if this would be the case after the incident between Brad Marchand and Jim Montgomery, but that's past. They're professionals. That's history, and it seems like Brad Marchand has been moved up to try and get a bit of offense going with a few people who've been succeeding quite a bit as of late in Elias Lindholm and David Pastrnak, who is doing all right, but could certainly be doing better. Putting on a line with Marchand, I think, could be a great decision for the time being. And if we see it continue to work, this may be one of the lines of the future for this season's team. Going on the second line, we have a very surprise candidate here joining Charlie Coyle and Trent Frederic. That is Max Jones, the guy who's only played 2 games this season, getting a massive opportunity here to become an everyday player. If we see him play well on this line today, we could see Max Jones really start to become a regular in this lineup. And for a guy that I was very high on, I'm still very high on, I did not expect him to be a second line player. I was kind of thinking third, more even so likely the fourth line. But we've seen the fourth line, how good that's been. That is not changing by any means. And the third line had a few changes as well. But Max Jones, I think this is going to be a great and a big opportunity for him here on this second line to see if he can get anything going with Charlie Coyle and Trent Frederic. That's a very, very active line, and I very much enjoyed looking at it, and it's going to see how we're going to translate that to the ice. And I think that's one line that or the line that we're going to have to watch tonight, along with the first, just because of the major change on that one. But going to the third line, John Beecher, Pavel Zacha, Matt Poitras, and Morgan Geekie. This is a very interesting one as well. Pavel Zacha moved from the first to the third line. The reaction to this move in a lot of these comments here and some quote tweets from this were not too happy with how the Zacha and Pastrnak split up went along. Instead of moving him down to the second line, he got relegated right away to the third. Now, will this last all game, or will this even be the lines to start the game? I don't know, but this is what it's seeming to be, and this is what the lines were this morning, so at least it was entertained by Jim Montgomery and this Bruins staff, and it's going to be interesting to see how Matt Poitras, Morgan Geekie, and Pavel Zacha work together, knowing that Zacha has spent quite a long time on the first line, going back from last season and into this season, so that, in my mind, is to get a bit more experience with Matt Poitras and a bit more of a solid player with Morgan Geekie on that line, and it's one that I think is going to be a very interesting one to see, and I really don't know right now how that will play out. But going down the fourth line, obviously, John Beecher, Mark Kastelic, and of course, Cole Koepke, the most surprising line in hockey at the moment, and the line that really seems to want it more than any team across the NHL. That line, once again, I'm expected to come out here firing and ready to go as they've always been. And Brazeau and Tufte are on the healthy scratch list for tonight. One move that I'm very surprised they've not made yet is send down Tufte. Really not getting the action too much in the NHL at this point. I'm very surprised they still haven't signed Tyler Johnson to move down Tufte, but that's a move that we're going to have to talk about at a later date. But the last really big move that we have is on the defense. Charlie McAvoy moving to his off wing or offside on the defense, along with Hampus Lindholm to pairing up on the first line, then having Brandon Carlos, and Nikita Zadorov on that second line. A very big second line, but a very interesting one to have Lindholm and McAvoy on their off line. I do understand why this is the case, though, trying to generate a lot more offense on this defense, trying to get a lot more shots, one-timers, and I do like how this is going to play out and how this is going to bring a very big offensive boost to this team. And other than that, we have Mason Lohrei Andrew Peak, another one that kind of switched around a bit. Lower I put on the right side here in this game, but it's going to be interesting to see how this game works, how this defense works, and if this is the scheme that we're running with. This is going to be a very interesting game, especially with a Nashville Predators team that is looking for a win, looking to get into this game, and they're going to bring the physicality with Zachary Lira called up. And so we move on to our next screenshot here. Looking at this, a lot of this is coming from the way this team has played, and it has not been good. And I think that's no surprise to anybody. A lot of people are waiting to find something that really works and go and run with it. That's what we're looking at with Jim Montgomery here while scrambling the lines. And from the Bruins Network here, I'll pull it up on this screen. When the veterans and new acquisitions, and pretty much everybody outside of Zacha, Poitras, and Elias Lindholm, and the fourth line simply aren't playing the right way. You have to try and get them going. In my opinion, Nashville's on a skid, Boston's in flux. We'll see who wants to right the ship more. And this is exactly how tonight's game is going to be played. There's not going to be very much structure to this game. This is going to be seeing what works from a Nashville standpoint and from a Boston standpoint. And I think that when it comes down to this game is just going to be one where you're going to have to do whatever you can to get anything going, get some offense going, get some defense going, whether that's a big hit, a fight, shots from the point, shots from center ice, something. Anything is going to be going in this game, and that will all continue from the way the Bruins have played, as I mentioned, in the recent games to start off this season. And looking at what Scott McLaughlin put out on a tweet the other day, it hit right at the top, but the Bruins are 5-on-5 ranks per the 60 minutes. Shot attempts are 31st. Shots on goal, they're 32nd. Scoring chances are 30th. High danger chances, they are 30th as well. And really, goes to just show, the offense has not been there, and the only reason they're not 32nd in every single category is because the fourth line has been rolling, and that's really the only option. That's really the only reason, because when you're looking at them as well, the time on ice for that crowd has been not too much, to be honest with you. It's not been anything really noticeable. Really been 12 minutes a game, and they're still putting up the numbers they have been. Jim Montgomery teased the fact that they may even go out and just put him on for 16, 17 minutes if they might have to, if nothing can get going. And I think that might be an option that we're looking at if things do come down to it. And we do have a quote here from Jim Montgomery, and this is what he had to say. Trying to generate some chemistry. It's been inconsistent on our first 6 games, so we're just looking at different ways to support certain players, get other players on their toes. And that's regarding the recent and kind of odd lineup changes that they're looking at tonight and looking to kind of generate something with. And really, Jim Montgomery was not afraid to say it. This team has not been performing. They're really going to do anything they can to find a way to generate that offense to be able to get out and just get back to the Boston Bruins that we know. But one that I mentioned, one guy here that has been in a new lineup changes, not very much in the roster, was Max Jones. He's been giving a very big chance, stepping up to the second line, and this is a move that a lot of people were not expecting, including myself. And I'm not angry about it, because I do love Mac Jones. I think he's going to be great on this line for this game as specific. But when we get down to the nitty-gritty of some more very, very strong offensive teams, I don't know if Max Jones is going to be able to handle that second line. Now, I know he wasn't too much in the preseason. He didn't have any really notable games so far, 0 points, 4 penalty minutes. It's just going to be a game where he's kind of getting back under his feet, and that's still the point that he's at. But the third line, the fourth line, really seems to me more like a Max Jones line, especially when you're coming up against these teams, maybe, let's just go the Edmonton Oilers, Colorado Avalanche, the teams that really have a lot of speed and a lot of talent that goes down throughout the offense. And Max Jones, still very good, but I don't know if he's going to keep up with these guys like Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Nathan McKinnon, when it does come down to him on the ice with those guys more often being in the top pairing. But this is the screenshot we have here. This is from the Hockey News. The Bruins lines on Tuesday's morning indicate that some major changes could be on the way. One of the most notable lineup changes was that Max Jones played on the second line with Charlie Coyle and Trent Frederic. And as I'm sure you know, there's not really a line that we've ever seen before, one that we've really experienced and kind of had the opportunity to look at. And this is what Max Jones had to say about it. Play heavy, play fast, retrieve pucks, create some chances. Playing with Coyle and Freddie there should be a fun line. Just worried about what I can control out there should be a fun one. And Max Jones still showing that confidence, still showing the aspect that he's still waiting for his opportunity, waiting for his chance, and he just has to play the way he's been normally playing throughout his career. And that's why the Boston Bruins signed him, to be himself, not try and be someone that he is not. So I'm very excited to see how Max Jones can go out there, feel tonight, play tonight on this line. And as I mentioned, if this just continue, if this is a good game, if we see a good result out of this first, second, and third line, why not try it another game? Why not keep it going until it don't? And that's the point where the Bruins are at. Get it going, get it working, and see how we go from there. So let me know what you think about these lineup changes here. What do you think about Max Jones in specific on the second line? And I also want to know what you think about Pavel Zacha being moved down to the third line. But that's all I got. Big game tonight against Nashville. Hopefully, it's another big win. We need to see him beat this team. If we don't, it could be some pretty nasty things headed towards Jim Montgomery and this team in specific. But I will see you tomorrow for a recap of this game and a stream tomorrow night. As what I'm thinking right now. So be sure to hit the sub button, hit the bell, so if I do stream, you get the notifications. And if you're not subscribed and you're at this point, you hit the sub button, you get all your Boston Bruins news right here. But that's all I got. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.